17 and 9, we shall discontinue from the heritage of the Lord.
Right.
So it said the Indians lost the credit of who they were, being Israelites.
And Esau took it.
Yep. It says, while the Indians lost their credit, offended the Great Spirit, and suffered exceedingly from the neighboring nations.
Come on, man.
That's the curses.
It says, if any of you brothers want to jump in and say something, you got a scripture.
Well,
go
no,
ahead.
I just want, after you finish that, I want to bring out the curses.
Yep. It says that the Great Spirit took pity on them and directed them to this country. That on their way they came to a great river which they could not pass, when God dried up the waters and they passed over dry shod. They also say that their forefathers were possessed of an extraordinary divine spirit by which they foretold future events and controlled
The prophets.
the common course of nature.
The prophets.
It says, and this they transmitted to their offspring on condition of their obeying the sacred laws, that they did by these means.
Right, 'cause that's where they get with Gad and all the tribes had it. It wasn't just Gad.
Yep.
They got a thing they call folk tales.
Yep.
Which basically with the elders from the, you look it up, the elders would pass on, which they really was speaking about things in the scriptures, like the history. Some of them they was telling some crazy shit too, but but for the most part they was telling them about the laws, about the Lord delivering Israel, the times He raised up judges and all that, because they knew all that, they had all that. But it was going back to where they were just passing it down orally. They started passing it down orally to their children.
That's exactly what was going on.
Yep.
It says that they did by these means bring down showers of plenty on the dear people, but that this power for a long time past had entirely ceased. The reverend gentleman mentioned in the introduction, who had taken so much pains in the year 1764 or 65 to travel far westward to find Indians who had never seen a white man, informed the writer of these memoirs that far to the northwest of the Ohio he attended a party of Indians to a treaty with Indians from the west of the Mississippi. Here he found the people he was in search of. He conversed with their beloved man, who had never before seen a white man, by the assistance of 3 grades of interpreters. The Indian informed him that one of their most ancient traditions was that a great while ago they had a common father who lived towards the rising of the sun, the east, and governed the whole world.
And then Montezuma told, I believe he told Cortez the same thing.
He said, yeah, our ancestors are from where you come from, the east.
Yep.
I'm going to read it again. It says that the Indian informed him that one of their most ancient traditions was that a great while ago they had a common father who lived towards the rising of the sun, the Middle East.
Right. And then if I might say this, the great father being the Great Spirit, the Most High, right? And it's at one time they had him, because why? The Most High turned his back on them because they went off. If I may bring out a scripture real quick.
Go ahead.
Real quick, it's the book of Hosea, chapter 5,
go into that
8
too.
through 15. 9. It says, Ephraim shall be desolate in the day of rebuke. And that's what happened when you go into the history, when the Spaniards, the conquistadors, when they descended upon the tribe of Ephraim down there in what's today called Puerto Rico. Right? They were being rebuked. That was the Most High. That's history. That happened. It said, among the tribes of Israel have I made known that which shall surely be. The princes of Judah were like them that removed the bound. Meaning they was wicked as hell too. They went off too. So the Most High eventually, when you go through the history, what happened with Judah, Benjamin, and Levi? They had to flee Jerusalem. They were in the interiors of the western coast of Africa, scattered, right? And eventually they were rounded up too and sold into slavery, just like Gad and the rest of them. I don't know if the camera cut off. But
it did.
back on?
No, keep it
All right, I'm
going.
gonna read quick. Okay. It says, therefore I will pour out my wrath upon them like water. It said, Ephraim is oppressed and broken in judgment, because he willingly walked after the commandment. Meaning what? They was getting into all them idols. And even to this day, that's the thing amongst Ephraim, which Ephraim was the head of all those tribes.
Yep.
And that same spirit is on the other tribes, the Cubans, the Mexicans, but the main person who's into them idols is the Puerto Ricans.
Yep.
And the Dominicans.
And the Dominicans.
Simeon
It's
and
pretty much the so-called Latin
Latin tribes. All of them tribes, but Ephraim was leader of the pack of that.
Yep, that's right.
You know?
That's why it says, matter of fact, it says in Hosea 5 and 16, Ephraim is joined unto idols, leave him alone.
Leave him alone. You see? So it says, therefore will I be unto Ephraim as a moth. And look at what happened to Puerto Rico.
Yep.
All right? And they were sending, which Lord willing, the article which the Elder around them have brought out some information. They were sending a lot of them, the Boricua Indians, the Tainos, they were sending a lot of them as slaves.
Yep.
In the 1400s, 1500s?
Yep. 1400s,
1400s, sending them as slaves back into Spain.
Yep.
They was getting rid of them back then. Because what?
And it was Columbus
Yep.
and his son Diego. That was the beginning of the slave trade.
Exactly.
That's even before Judah, Benjamin, and Levi
Right.
were brought over here.
That's right.
You know? So you guys out there that talk about the so-called, they call it Maragooks and the so-called other tribes that were here didn't suffer slavery like Judah suffered slavery. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You don't know no history.
You don't
You only know
shit.
like a handful of history of something, of some people that are not even your people.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
know?
Them Bantus doodoo motherfuckers up
Yeah.
there.
And those
in Zambia
motherfuckers,
and Mozambique.
yo, them motherfuckers are heathens.
Yeah.
All right?
Right.
You know?
Yep. It says, therefore will I be unto Ephraim as a moth, and to the house of Judah as rottenness. And we know what happened to Judah.
Yep.
It says, when Ephraim saw his sickness, and Judah saw his wound, then went Ephraim to the Assyrian, and sent to King Yerab, yet could he not heal you, nor cure you of your wound. For I will be unto Ephraim as a lion, and as a young lion to the house of Judah. I, even I, will tear and go away. I will take away, and none shall rescue him. And that's what happened to this very day. And there was no, and when the conquistadors, when they came over here to Ephraim and the rest of the other tribes over here, there was nobody to rescue them, as well as with Judah. That's why when Judah was in slavery, right? And it's because of knucklehead niggas like you, man. Being wicked as hell, you was coming up against the prophets back then. You were teaching prophets back then. You were teaching your false bullshit doctrines. So that's why the Most High allowed the so-called white man to well on you niggas, man. All right? But it says, for I will be unto Ephraim as a lion, and as a young lion to the house of Judah. And like we brought out in the other show, Ephraim faced the same hardship that Judah faced.
Exactly.
Why is that? Is that a coincidence? The Hamites and all that, they didn't go through the same exact things that Judah went through. All right, the Moabites ain't go through the hardships like Judah went through.
First of all, scripture say the spirit itself bears witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High.
Exactly.
So what characteristics did the Hamites show and prove that they are of the children of the Most High? Putting plates on your lips and bones through your ears, that's not the spirit of the Most High.
I don't know.
Cutting the clitoris of your women, of your young women,
Circumcising your woman.
Right.
which is cutting off their clitoris.
Exactly.
That's not of the Lord, man. Your young men shoving their head inside a cow's ass and blowing hot steam through it. All right, that's not the spirit of the Lord, man.
Nope.
The so-called priests going around to make a young man a man, smacking him on his rod or whatever the hell they were doing, committing some kind of homosexual acts. That's not of the Most High, man.
Nope, that's right. Those are heathens.
Homosexuality. That's not of the Most High. So how is that? How are they of the Most High? The Bantus and the fucking
and all them
pygmies and the Watusis and these
Those
motherfuckers.
heathens.
These are the same
Straight up.
people we were fighting to gain control of the land of Israel, man.
Yep.
And
Right.
fight, you know.
Right, you're right. Those are the niggas that was coming up against us, and those were your slave masters, man.
Exactly.
Those were your slave masters that you talking about.
Yep, before the white man.
Before the white man.
And you niggas get caught up with this. They're black, we black too, so we black. You some simple motherfucker. Don't you know everybody was so-called dark in the beginning?
That's right.
That don't
Right.
mean that you're all the same people, but there was many wars between dark nations.
That's right.
So learn your fucking history, you ignorant bastards.
Jackass. Who was reading?
Right, Con. It says, I will go and return to my place till they acknowledge their offense and seek my face in their affliction, they will seek me early.
Right.
And that's what happened. And when the other tribe, that's why they started. They came over here because why? They knew that they transgressed against the Most High's commandments.
That's right.
That's why.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
And that's why they came over here. And they were doing the customs. They was doing the Lord's Prayer, the Shema Yasha Allah, and all of that.
And they went off.
Yeah.
And they went
That's
off.
right. That's why James Adair, when he made mention of those particular tribes that he was amongst, he said that the name that they used to call upon the Most High was Jehovah, which we know now that there was a corrupt form of the name Yahweh,
Right.
because there's no O's or E's, in the Hebrew. So it just so happens to be the same syllables that we use for Yahweh.
Oh, so-
Yehovah, which is Yahweh.
Since you mentioned that, I got to read this on page 144 in the 10 tribes of Israel. It says,
Somebody get 1 Kings 8:41.
it says rites and ceremonies. So the American Indians, particularly the Cherokees and Choctaws, have some very humble representatives of these cherubimical figures in their places of worship or beloved squares, where through a strong religious principle they dance almost every winter's night, always in a bowing posture and frequently singing Hallelujah Yahweh.
Which is Hallelujah Yahweh.
Right. And it says they have in these places of worship, which Adair says he has seen 2 white painted eagles. Now that's dealing with, this brother mentioned James Adair. Now that's an account from James Adair, an account that goes back to James Adair. Now what this brother Elder Ramla was saying, I got another account here. It says page 166, 167, and 168. I'm gonna just skip through. It says their public worship. It says the Reverend Mr. Brainard in his journal says he visited the Indians on September 20th, 1745 at the Juniata near the Susquehanna in Pennsylvania. It says Mr. Brainard's interpreter was a common Indian greatly attached to the habits of his countrymen. And much in their interest, he says he found the Indians almost universally busy making preparations for a great sacrifice and dance. Now it says here, their Feast of Love. Every spring season, one town or more of the Mississippi Floridians keep a solemn feast of love to renew their old friendships. They call this annual feast Hotuk Amipa Hitla Tana'a. That is, the people eat, dance, and walk as twin brothers. The short name of the feast is Hotuk Empana'a. That is, eating by a strong religious and social principle. Empana'a signifies I am informed, several threads or strands twined together. They assemble 3 nights before the feast. On the 4th night, they eat together. During the intermediate space, the young men and women dance in circles from the evening till the morning. When they meet at night, it is professed to be a gladden and unite their hearts before Yahweh. They sing, I'm going to say how it says it here. They sing Yohiwa Sho'ai, Yohiwa Shu, Yohiwa Shu, Yohiwa She, Yohiwa She, Yohiwa Shai, Yohiwa Shai, with great energy.
Sound like Yahweh.
Well, that's what it is. That's what it is. It says Yohiwa Shai, Yohiwa Shai, with
They
great
knew, because they
energy.
knew that was the name of the Most High.
They said Yohiwa Shai.
I'm sorry, that was the name of
Yahweh Shai. Yohiwa Shai with great energy. The first word is nearly in the Hebrew characters the name of Joshua or Savior.
which is Yahweh Shai.
That's Yahweh Shai.
And then, like we said, that the Hebrew was already corrupted by the time that they came up to a certain point.
Right.
You know?
Which is scriptural, because it wasn't time for Jake to be woken up yet.
That's right.
We still had to go through, more hell and go through slavery.
Somebody get Zephaniah 3 and what is that? 8, 9, 3 and 9. Real quick. Why? Because what shows you that they was going off in the language a little bit is because the Most High had a certain particular time for the language to be brought back to us.
Yep.
You got that, Elder Sakaram?
No, I don't got it yet.
Somebody got Zephaniah 3 and 9?
Zephaniah,
Bring it up.
right? Zephaniah chapter 3 verse 9. It says, "For then will I turn to the people a pure." Well, you want me to start at 8?
No, that's good right there.
Okay. "For then will I turn to the people a pure language."
When the tribes start coming back together, because prior to that, the tribes are spread apart.
Yep.
So nobody can boast and brag about, oh, I had the